Hello YouTube. Today I am making a video about the 70 maps update. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about both the previous update leading up to this one and my thoughts on the most recent update as well. Let's start at the very beginning. So, first let's discuss the version 60 update. Going over some of the bigger changes, those being the chaos and chill mode removal, new pro server requirements, and some daily challenge slash map event reworks. Global air drain rate is gradually increasing when leveling up from level 1 to level 20. What this means is when you're swimming, you'll be losing less air from your air bar. On these patch notes, it doesn't sound so bad, although there were lots of players who like playing in those game modes, and still, till this day, they are rambling about it. However, that wasn't the worst part of it. With the version 60.01, a small change was introduced, which caused the community to go up in flames with rage. Our beloved Intensity Reset update. Granted that people in the Discord server voted for this to be added. However, the vote was done in a channel where majority of people could not vote because they didn't have access to. So, some person took the very same poll and put it in the FE2 channel where everyone has got access as soon as they join the server. And to their surprise, actually to no one's surprise, the poll results were completely opposite. The polar opposite. They all voted against adding this update. Luckily for us, this change was reverted in VIP servers, and that's good because if it had applied in the VIP servers as well, it would have ruined a lot of things for most people. A lot of players tend to go into these servers to grind XP or play with their friends and practice higher difficulty maps. With Intensity Reset, all of that goes, well, down the drain because it isn't fun to simply play the game until crazy difficulty, play one map, and then it resets back to zero. Like, it's not fun. It's ridiculous and stupid. I agree that this change does work fairly well in normal mode because, well, it's supposed to be welcoming for new players, and that's good. And it should stay that way. Anyways, sometime after this dramatic update, Crazy Block came out with a message saying, there is an upcoming update for FE2 that will be permanently adding at least 3 maps. Probably within a week or so. Keep an eye out for that. Well, of course, the community went into excitement over this update, which is normal. They all speculated what these new maps would be, and they were hoping for actually new different maps. Well, a few days later, those 3 maps that were announced turned into 7 maps. Community was even happier because, well, more maps, more fun. But around that time as well, people began noticing that most of the previous highlights were getting updated, minor improvements, some were getting revamps, and so on. It was nice, yes, until the trailer dropped for this entire update, the Here to Stay update. After the trailer dropped, people lost their minds. Some were happy, some were angry. and the third part of a player count literally didn't care. But that is not the point. The point is that this update changes how you play the entire game. It goes from being repetitive and boring to less repetitive, but still somewhat boring, but for other reasons. Most players really like they often played the game just to get a badge for beating a map. Now that there is 120 plus maps in the game, a lot of people are getting kind of impatient when trying to beat their favorite maps because it takes forever to get one of them. And you're not always guaranteed to even beat them, even if they do appear. Mainly for one kind of buggy reason. Currently, there is a big issue with FE2's jump power because originally Crazy Block said this that the jump power was always bugged for years. He was just more focused on content updates, so he couldn't really fix it. Now that he's fixed it, well, guess what? A lot of maps, especially in a higher difficulty rating, have become pretty difficult to beat. Some of them even impossible. Well, actually, most of them are still possible, but it's more RNG based now. It's not like, well, you'll either get lucky or you don't. That kind of thing. I would like to point out one example, and that would be Lost City of Gold, especially the beginning area, because those few jumps can literally end the run right then and there. Before the patch of this bugged thing, that was fairly normal. Well, unless you went sideways, then you would definitely fall to your death because of flat sides. But other than that, there's one other jump in the entire map that simply took me and annoyed me for really, really long time now. And that's the button after, well, the blue frog, if you know what I mean. It's that long jump to the truss over the pit with lava. That jump is seriously long. You're pretty much doing a rustic jungle truss jump at that point. Except it's probably even harder, to be honest. Oh man. Kinda wish that jump was nerfed, to be honest. Anyway. Well, basically. Let's see. I honestly believe that this update is really good, especially for crazy blocks, because sure, the game might have lost its players a little bit after the update when it hit 2,000 players after months of never reaching 1,000 even. It's crazy to think that. But after a while, the player count started dropping back down again. Right now, as of I'm recording this, it's around 400 players in the game right now, which isn't a lot. It's kinda little actually. But since there is less game modes now, I guess it looks a bit more full than it used to be, since they're no longer spread across every server in the game. Anyway, the game with this update becomes way, way, way less repetitive, and as I earlier mentioned, that people are gonna have issues beating every map they wanna beat. But there is an upside. Crazy Blocks and the map makers decided, or at least I think they decided, to leave those maps in FE2 community maps. So if you really, really want to beat them, you can always go and practice them in FE2 community maps, which is good, which is good. But the only other thing that isn't really that good is since the jump power was nerfed to bits, two maps, namely Desert Ruins and Abandoned Junkyard, they were claimed to be impossible, which isn't completely true, but for the most part, I think they're still beatable, even with the basic 50 jump power. But in my opinion, it shouldn't be 55 jump power, which feels like moon gravity. I think it should be like 51 or 52, so that you would actually be able to like do all the parkour with actual skill instead of relying on the gravity to help you. Because, like, seriously, some of the jumps become so easy and effortless, it just makes no sense. It's a crazy plus map. It's supposed to be really, really difficult and precise. What the fuck is the moon gravity doing there? Making it all easy. Well, actually, it doesn't always make it easier. It also makes it harder because some jumps in the maps are really difficult to pull off, and the main issue for that is simple because you just overshoot it. I even had this issue in well, okay, let's see. Right after this update as well, there were a few improvements to the trusses and wall jumps. Wall jumps no longer set your velocity when you jump off of them, and they're, well, how do I put this? Their response time is much, much faster, so you can do the wall jumps really, really fast. I saw people uh, see this as an issue in Desert Ruins, especially the tower part, where you have to jump onto a small truss-like thing and then jump off a wall jump onto the zip line. I didn't reach that part yet, but I know it's gonna be really, really frustrating even if I do attempt it at some later point. Yeah, truss wall jumps. Those are the biggest issue at the moment with the current physics. Apart from that, wall jumps and trusses work fine, in my opinion. They work far better than they used to before this update, which is great. Well, let's talk about a bit about how do you like get the most more needed maps when playing main FE2 because well if Crazy Blocks were to add all of those maps immediately to the game would probably be lagging and crashing left and right. So I think he was pretty creative and sneaky a little bit. Implemented a system or something like that cycles maps in small bundles where you get like a few maps that'll keep cycling for like let's say 20 rounds or something. They'll keep cycling like that for a few rounds. Eventually when you played through them all or the round amount passes by, those maps will start switching out with different ones from a different bundle. Bundles are probably selected randomly, so you might not get the maps you want, like one to two maybe bundles in a row. And if that happens, just try server hopping maybe. I don't know. Should help you maybe because every server functions with different maps at the same time. So you might get lucky if you want. That's a pretty interesting system and a way to implement it. It didn't break the game like during the anniversary update when all of those maps were added. I couldn't even join my VIP server because, well, I just kept getting the black screen glitch. There was just too many maps in the game. There were too many. And now it's actually working fine. I didn't get a single black screen glitch at all. Not even once. Which is great. Keep it up. Alright. Now it's about my opinion on this update. Personally, I really like this update. It makes me play the game far more than I used to. It also provides me with a really good challenge to finally master more maps. Because I've been replaying the same maps, as you know, because of my Uber count. I've played the older ones like thousands of times by now. I know them left and right. I don't really even need to use my head anymore to play them. It just automatically works for me. Or at least it used to until Mirror got added. Uh, that's not a problem. Right now. What I'm waiting is what comes after this update, because this update is a setup. It's setting you up for greatness that comes later down the line. Primarily, I'm hoping for the leaderboard system and Flood Pass, which is like a battle pass type of thing, but in Flood Escape, so Flood Pass is the name. I'm really waiting for this feature because, well, first of all, it'll provide me more goals to grind for other than just levels. Besides, grinding levels right now is like very, very, very slow. I am struggling to get one level up with this many maps in my way. XP weekends are nice and all, but I mean, they're not that great when you can't even play on a weekend. Especially if you're older and you're focusing on other things on the weekends, like prioritizing rest, hanging out with friends, and other stuff. You don't really have time for FE2. During the week, of course, you probably are just as busy as ever, probably not really getting much time on yourself. You even relax to play a little bit of Flood Escape, which is okay. You don't have to play if you don't really have time for it. You can play when you do have time for it. I don't know what to keep rambling on about, but at the moment, there are a few bugs with the game. Namely, one big bug, which annoys a lot of mobile players. It's the issues with the wall jumps. I'm hoping they will get fixed soon because I'm kind of feeling bad for my friends who play the game alongside me and who get stuck on a wall jump and just die for no reason. Well, let's hope that gets fixed soon anyway. And one last thing. Since highlights are still a thing, the map pool will keep increasing every month because the highlights will be transferring over to being permanent maps after their highlight period ends. And then new highlights will replace them. And the game at the end of this year probably will have like, I don't know, about 150 maps, unless I'm miscalculating something. Something like that. So yeah, memorizing even more maps will be really difficult. By that point, you'll probably stop caring about getting map badges. You'll just be getting them on a whim, really. There's literally no longer a need to focus on getting any badges because you'll either way get them eventually, but I don't know. Personally, I don't think I will focus on beating the new highlights as quickly as I used to, because simply with this many maps, it could take me almost a full month just to beat one Crazy Plus map. And that's really a lot of time. And I don't really want to play FE2 for that much time. Because I would still have to practice it in community maps. That isn't really enjoyable for me. I do prefer playing main FE2 because, well, it's just much more variety based. That's it. See ya.